she took it a step further though and said, I know what's going on with the ESPN's bad track record with diversity and getting people of color jobs and things like that. But if don't just throw her my work or my potential jobs just because she's black, basically. Everybody isn't racist and everything isn't racial. Okay,
Okay.
so especially when you tie it into the sports world, for example, the Olympic sprinter Shakaya, right? Is that how you pronounce her name?
Sha'Carri.
Shakari,
Yeah.
Shakari.
Yeah.
Okay, shout out to Shakari. I haven't came across too many Shakari, so that's a unique name. So you have to give me a break there, okay? And of course we're in the time now where smoking marijuana is not deemed as bad at all. It shouldn't be a bad thing,
It's trending.
right? But it is against the rules. Okay, so
Right.
and a lot of the things is, oh man, just let her run, and you guys, let Michael Phelps do X, Y, Z, and if a white girl did this, this wouldn't be. You don't have to turn it into that. It's not that. It's just a rule, and she was prepped on the rule. She knew about it. And I understand the loss of a loved one, her parent. I understand that, but she knew the rule, and she,
And willingly violated the
consciously
rule.
violated.
Yeah.
So
Nah, it's a tough situation. It's unfortunate. Yeah. I mean, it is. Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. If that's the rule, and there are a lot of rules in track and field. I think one of the things. I mean, there's a lot to unpack there. I think a lot of people. There's a new mentality toward marijuana.
Right.
It's widely accepted by a lot of people. It's also something that most people don't feel is performance enhancing in any way to sprinting. And versus somebody who like Ben Johnson back in the day with steroids or this, that, or the other. So I think people want to give marijuana a pass, probably because they're smoking their own damn marijuana and don't want to suffer any consequence for that.
exactly.
But yeah, there was a racial tone to it in that people cited Michael Phelps. Now he has admitted to smoking marijuana,
Yes.
but I don't think he was ever tested positive prior to any Olympic event.
Right. Right. This was after the fact. And I mean, Michael Phelps had other issues along with that as well. And it's just not the Sha'Carri situation. That's just one.
Yeah.
To cite another one, just to roll through a couple that has been more recently. Of course, we have the Rachel Nichols versus Maria Taylor. Okay, the ESPN duel, if you will. And just a quick backdrop on that. Maria Taylor is up and coming, but she's been grinding for a while now. African American woman who is into the sports journalism and sports commentating, things of that nature, sports reporting.
And
Okay.
has been an ESPN personality for I think at least a
For
couple
a while
years.
now. Yeah, she's been grinding.
Her lane for the most part has been college football.
Yes.
And she's kind of become like a leading voice outside of like the game day crew. She usually does like a lot of on-campus stuff, 1v1 with various college players, and has developed kind of a brand on that.
Yes. And then you have Rachel Nichols, who her lane is mostly basketball. I mean, she has been on every basketball scene, and she actually hosts a show called The Jump, which they only talk about NBA for the really for the most part. And she's been in that lane for a while. And actually, she has a parent who's a part of like NBC or something big, a big news.
The one from her
corporation.
mother or father? You're talking
Right,
about?
right,
Oh, okay, I
right,
didn't
right,
know
right.
that.
Yes. So she has ties to the media, close ties to the media, and her herself, of course. I don't know her exact
Ethnicity.
Yes, that's a tough word for me to say on a Sunday, man, after a 1-year-old birthday party where I may or may not have consumed some alcohol. But but she is viewed to be, of course, a white woman, okay? That's just that's what she's viewed to be. So, all right. So, Rachel was at a hotel room, okay, where the camera and the camera was off, the mic was on, okay? Just one of those things. And apparently she said some things about Maria coming in and taking her spot for the NBA Finals, okay? And she just wasn't having it. And she cited that, she wishes the best for Maria, but, just don't come take my spot. All the spots at ESPN, all the jobs available, don't come take my spot. And then she took it a step further, though, and said, I know what's going on with the ESPN's bad track record with diversity and getting people of color jobs and things like that. But if don't just throw her my work or my potential jobs just because she's black, basically. Okay?
Right.
That's what she said.
Right.
Okay. But my thing about that though is it's ESPN and sports journalism. Period, man. That is a very competitive lane, and there's not a lot of opportunities for women, period, in that lane, because you only see them mostly as hosts or sideline reporters, anyhow. Okay, yeah. And they I hate to say it like this, but it seems like they just look for one pretty face per whatever.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it is definitely a harsh business. Again, when you're talking about a position at like ESPN or some of the bigger, sports entities, there are a handful of positions to begin with.
Yeah.
And you're fighting tooth and nail to carve your niche there, to get to that spot and hold it down. And so, any of those people, to get to where Rachel Nichols was, to get to where Maria Taylor is right now, was a dogfight.
Yeah, man.
And so that's your mentality. It's kill or be killed to hold down your spot. And so that's the mentality that they probably both have. And so if somebody's coming to start taking over your lane, you're going to be defensive toward it, regardless of what your color is, regardless of what your gender is, or what your situation is. You're going to have to fight for that, because really in that industry, that's all you've probably ever known.
Exactly.
And that's a thing. But it's further complicated on multiple levels, because, again, as women in that industry, there's typical, I mean, there is, with rare exception, there is a physical profile. They are not putting unattractive women on these networks on face camera to do this type of work. You have to have some threshold level of attractiveness to even have a shot. Now, whether that's discriminatory, biased, or whatever, it probably is, but that's a reality of the situation. Then you have the situation with the network, who probably hasn't had the best record in promoting black voices, black faces in their coverage and diversifying that. So they're under pressure in that regard. And I think that there's another little movement that's occurred in ESPN, is that they have really tightened their roster of people. They don't have as many SportsCenter hosts and hosts of different programs and broadcasters. Their philosophy is that they had gotten, basically a lot of people had gotten big names under the ESPN umbrella and wanted bigger money.
Yeah.
And they've made a business decision to let some of these people go, find other work in other businesses, and consolidate their resources around a couple of selected voices, and probably one of them is Stephen A. Smith,
and work the dog crap out of them.
Yeah,
as we
now
he's
got a big ass contract, I think $8 million a year.
Yeah,
and now because they're paying him that, and they've cut other people, now Stephen A's commenting on damn near everything.
Yeah, everything.
And originally he's a guy that had a basketball background. He played some small college basketball.
That's how he
came
started
up as
out.
a basketball writer, and now he's branching in, getting in other discussions.
Yeah.
Which, again, I think the guy sucks. I do. I honestly do. I think he's just a shtick guy with a bunch of yelling and nonsense and these hot takes that aren't all that hot. I don't understand why that's the guy you choose to invest in, but that's the decision. Now, from a Rachel Nichols perspective, she's probably seeing that, they want to just make Maria the new Stephen A. Smith
the new
on
hot
that.
thing, yeah.
And they're going to take her out of college football. They're going to put her into the NBA and maybe a few other things.
And move Rachel
and move you out.
a little out, inching her out. And it's funny when you can see it coming, like from a mile away, and you can see it coming. It's like, oh no, I've seen this happen to this person, this person, this person. It's not going to happen to me. And also, it was in Rachel's contract that she was going to cover the finals. So she had a gripe. I mean, I don't think that she's from this situation. I don't think it was racial. I don't think it was racist. Now, Here goes.
Well, I want to refine that
Go
point.
ahead.
I want to say there was nothing that I read about this story that made Rachel's motivations racial.
Right.
I do think that there is room in this to say that ESPN may be trying to overcompensate for a bad track record in the past to promote more black broadcasters to do that. And so in that angle, that it may exist, but to kind of paint her broadly with a racist brush, I don't think is fair from the information I've read on this.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. It's just not fair. Now, listen, this tape was from a year ago, right? In the bubble. So this is what the rumblings are.
When she may or may not have been getting smashed by Jimmy Butler.
I heard that bubble was wild. I'm not going to speak on it. I know somebody that was in the bubble, but I heard that bubble was wild, man. But listen, you can't go in, you can't go out for anyway. This was this could have been the rumblings. The rumblings are
kind of like prison.
I know, right? The rumblings are. Picture prison with like two very attractive women just walking around every day.
And about 150 dudes.
Oh, and don't forget, I think Doris was there too, Doris Burke.
Doris Burke, yes.
I mean, you give her a shot, man. Anyway, listen.
Drake probably has.
I'm sure Drake has. Maria Taylor's contract is up. The rumblings is that everyone at ESPN has heard this tape. So they know this thing has been going on for about a year. Rachel has reached out to Maria on numerous of times. Maria has declined to have that conversation. But the rumblings is that Maria dropped this to enhance her chances of maxing out her contract. Because ESPN is not, when you have this firestorm, there's no way ESPN can let Maria go or lowball her on this contract once she drops this firebomb because,
No, I that makes a lot of sense because and all these things, man, whenever you hear, this happened a year ago and now as the public, we're hearing about it now. That is always shady as hell.
Yeah, it's something behind that, man.
No doubt that that's shady. Now, again, who benefits from this? Probably Maria Taylor.
Yeah.
Who would gain to release this now? Probably Maria Taylor because she has the sympathy in this situation. It enhances her bargaining position. It really leverages against ESPN. I mean, what do they look like if they cut her in this moment?
Exactly.
And if she pulled that move, though, honestly, she's a piece of shit. No lie. If that's the move you pulled, I got no respect for you.
Nah, man.
Nah. If this happened and you knew about it 10 months ago,
you should. If you have such an issue,
if you have an issue, because it's not an issue. Now it's a contract leverage piece.
Right.
If you had an issue with it and you had a problem, then you bring it up when it happens.
Only because it does make Rachel look bad.
Oh, it makes her look very bad.
So that's the reason. If it wasn't for that portion of it, which you can't have both, but if it wasn't for that portion of it, I would be 100% behind that move because it's so what? Get the most money out of ESPN, hold them by their balls if you have to. YouTube don't knock us for that, but hold them and get as much money as you can, but only because it kind of makes Rachel look kind of bad. I can't fully support that.
I don't respect people that make moves like that. I don't.
Yeah.
And it's about getting the money, but life is not just about getting money.
Well,
you got to look at yourself in the mirror at some point, and you got to be okay with that.
Yeah.
That's if that's the move, I have no respect for her.